Today's episode is presented by Lucky Tree and Northern Home.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to PodPaca. We took a month-long break and we are back. Today, I am joined once again with Tim Drake, who is my dad and co-host of PodPaca. And today, we are talking to Brooke Bebout. She is the owner of the Revival Boutique in both Waupaca and Neenah. Please welcome Brooke to PodPaca.
Hey, Brooke, how you doing?
Good. How are you all doing?
Good. I like
Good.
your little friend.
Yeah, this is Jasper. He might bark at somebody walking by during the episode.
Oh,
What kind of dog is Jasper for our audio listeners?
He's a Chiweenie, so he's 3/4 Chihuahua and a quarter Wiener dog. So he's a little guy, but his attitude makes up for the rest.
Well, I first want to start off with talking about the Revival because that's no question been such a fantastic boutique in both the Waupaca and Neenah areas. I know a ton of people enjoy it, and I bet a ton of people ask you when shopping at the Revival, why and how did you start the Revival boutique?
Well, having a store was the first thing that I ever wanted to do when I grew up. It all sort of fell into place at the right time. I went through a lot of different things that I thought about doing or wanted to do as I was going through like my early 20s. And I worked at a hardware store, I worked at a finance company. Um, and I was out in DC visiting some family, and I saw a little shop out there that I was really inspired by. So that kind of sparked it for me. Um, and when I got back from my trip, I saw my space in Waupaca for rent. And my first thought was, oh, somebody should open something there. That could be a really cool space. And then I'm like, well, I'll just call and see how much the rent is. And so I looked at it and I had no idea what I was doing, but the when I looked at it, it wasn't in very great shape, if anybody remembers what it
I
looked like.
remember.
Yeah, yeah. so so I told him I would take it that day, and originally it was supposed to be more handmade goods because I was making jewelry at the time and selling that on the side from working at the finance company and doing little shows and stuff here and there with it. That was kind of my little side business at the time. And then once I opened, I ended up, I went to market down in Chicago and bought some clothing and accessories. Just, I thought that would be kind of the fill in. But then after I opened, I started with a very small amount of inventory too, and just the very front portion. Not that anybody can see my hand motions, but just the old store was kind of split into two rooms, and I started with just the very front room, and I only had like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of inventory, which is nothing. So I ended up the first few days I was open, I sold everything, and what was selling was the clothing and accessories that I had bought at market. So it sort of took on a life of its own. I just started buying what people seemed to like and seemed to want, and things obviously that I also liked. And it just kind of grew from there. Um, as I sold more, I would buy more inventory, and I just kept building on my stock. And yeah, I feel like my business just sort of took on a life of its own.
I do want to ask both you, Brooke, and you, Dad, since you're both business owners downtown, I am interested. Do you think that clothes is tougher to pick out to see what if people like it compared to gifts, or do you think it's about the same?
Well, it's always sort of like gambling in retail. Um,
Yeah.
because you never know what people are going to like or what they're going to buy. I personally stick to things that I love and want for myself. I have the best luck with those things that I really love myself, probably because um, I mean, I'm probably better at selling things that I love myself, things that I know and use and want to wear and want to have for myself. It's just it's more natural that way. With clothing, there is the sizing issue. So now I have a lot of vendors that I really like, and I've gotten to know their sizing and quality and whatnot. But in the beginning, that was really kind of difficult because everything is sized so differently. People are all different sizes. I had no idea how many different shapes and sizes people came in until I opened a store, everywhere from teeny tiny till, you know, the curvy ladies. So yeah, finding something that fits a lot of different people can be tricky.
Yeah. No, I agree with Brooke. In my case, I only know what I know. There's no way I could pick out the same type of stuff she picks out. But as you know, we carry a few like Life is Good products, hats, t-shirts, and when I'm rummaging through those, I pick out what I would wear or what I think's fun or whatever or comfortable. It's kind of guesswork, honestly. There's been plenty of things I picked out I thought were awesome that no one in their right mind would ever bought. You end up, discounting them, get rid of them. There are other things we brought in that I thought no way anybody will buy them, ends up being your best sellers. So, it's just shows you what I know. So, but and I do agree too, touching on the vendor thing. After years and years of doing stuff like this, you learn what vendors you can trust, and if which ones say, hey, this will work, and kind of a leap of faith there. And
I like to push the envelope with trends too. So sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself for central Wisconsin, but I try to keep a balance of, I want my my stores to be for a trendsetter, but I also want things to be really wearable for people too. Like some things, we have crop tops because crop tops are trendy, but we also have longer tops for people who either don't want to, or for people who don't want to wear those types of things. So
What I noticed when I've been in New York at times is that there are some trends that happen all at once all across the country, and there are some trends that happen on the West and East Coast, and then they slowly, over the next few years, become popular in the Midwest. Do you notice that with clothing? And that must be a huge advantage being in central Wisconsin. You already know some of the trends that have worked other places.
right. I try to stay on top of the trend as much as possible, even though I know that it takes a couple years for it to get to Wisconsin. I have had it happen quite a few times where I bring something in and people aren't quite ready for it, and then it ends up on my sale rack, and then the next year everybody's like, oh, I've been looking all over for this. I'm like, yeah, that's from last year, that's on sale now. But people, I mean, people surprise me in this area too, where there are a lot of fashion forward people around who are all about wearing the latest trends too. So I'm here to get people to try stuff on that they might not have otherwise, and yeah, try it. They might like it.
a tribute to your boutique is, a lot of times if somebody comes in the store, I tend to look for something to compliment them on, like their outfit, their earrings, whatever, glasses, whatever it happens to be. And I've had people like, oh, I like your outfit. And they'll say, oh, and they'll say it with such pride too. Oh, I got this at Revival, and it's just, I've had people say that actually quite a bit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we have the best customers on the planet, really. They really love on us, and it's really, I didn't realize that it would be such a community. When I opened, I didn't know what to expect. I was just sort of flying by the seat of my pants. I'm like, oh, let's just, try this out, see what happens. So yeah, there was just immediately sort of a small following, and then when I got into um, posting on social media and whatnot too, there's this whole community that sort of surrounds the store too, and you get to know your customers over time. You know,
yeah.
I've been open for almost 11 years now. This year will be our 11-year anniversary, And some of the ladies who shop at my store, they were in buying dresses to wear for graduation, and then they were buying things through college, and then they're buying like their rehearsal dinner dress, and then they're coming back. I don't see them for a little bit, and all of a sudden they come back and they've got a baby with them, so it's been really cool to like walk through all of these life phases with all the women at my store, and I've become friends with a lot of them too. So
Do you have quite a bit of customers that are, snowbirds? All of a sudden, there's this whole group of people that show up in May or something that you haven't seen all winter, or?
yeah, we have a lot of that with the tourists. I have a pretty strong customer base from Chicago who are pretty regular shoppers in the summertime when they're here. So yeah, it's like a reunion when they start coming in. When it gets warmer out, they're all coming back to their cottages again, and there's like hugs. They're like, "Hey, how are you doing? What did I miss?" And for me, like being from a small town, I think that it's really cool when my customers from bigger cities come in and they're like, I wear this down by me and I get so many compliments on it, and I'm just like, I got it from this little boutique in Waupaca, Wisconsin.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I always tell people one of the side effects from having business in Waupaca that it's hard to explain, I guess, to some people, but is the unity within the town itself.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like, it feels like everyone's, kind of watching out for everybody else. And, everyone's trying to draw people in the town, not just for themselves, but for the good of the whole.
Right. Nobody comes to Waupaca for just one store. They come
Yeah.
here to spend the day shopping and to eat. And I like Waupaca, and I've had really good experiences working with the other shop owners downtown too, like you. And when I first opened, oh, you saw somebody walk by. When I first opened, Debbie from Panache reached out to me and welcomed me to the neighborhood. And she and I still talk about what lines that we're carrying, so that we don't cross over on anything. We're just really careful not to. We don't treat each other like competition, and I think that it's a really beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, it is. I always tell the story when I first opened. There's a handful of people that kind of came over and gave me the lay of the land, and
Mhm.
like, oh, North Main hates South Main, the city hates the chamber, and all this other nonsense. And that's what it was. It was exactly that. It was all nonsense. And,
Right.
a lot of people would think, at Kent and Bernadette, who own Main Street Marketplace, they would think we would be rivals. But Kent is one of my better buddies.
Right.
I mean, we've had dinners together. I mean, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Everyone's trying to be cooperative and just make Waupaca a destination, a better place. And,
Right.
little boutiques like yours is just awesome. It really is. And on a side note, you just redid that whole thing too.
Yeah.
And it looks
We
fantastic in there.
Yeah, we did a major renovation last winter, completely gutted it basically, and figured out that I could take the wall down that was dividing the retail space, so it's all one big open space now. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I bought my building in 2018. So as soon as I bought it, I had kind of started planning it. I mean, I had been there already for 6 years before I bought it. So I had a general idea of what I wanted it to look like, but I wasn't willing to, stick 40 or 60 grand into it when I'm renting it. So yeah, it was a labor of love. There was blood and sweat, but no tears, thankfully. There was a couple times when I was in the demo, um, in the early demo phases, and I was closed and I was down there by myself, just tearing shit apart. And I was looking around and I'm like, what did I just do to my store? Like, am I ever going to be able to get this? Am I ever going to be able to make it pretty again?
Well, you did. I mean, seriously, it does look, I'm not just saying that. I mean, you did a nice job. It
Thank
looks great.
you. Thank you.
This episode is presented by Northern Kitchen. Northern Kitchen is a brand new store that is in Lucky Tree's family of stores on Main Street in downtown Waupaca. This new kitchen store is on the corner in the last block on North Main Street. It looks fantastic in there. You have to see it to believe it. My mom, Michelle Drake, has been working really hard on this store. It looks great in there. There are lots of great kitchen gadgets that you cannot find anywhere else in the area. Make sure to shop at Northern Kitchen on Main Street in Waupaca.
And how did you come up with the name Revival?
I came up with the name Revival because, well, I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. And in the beginning of the revival, we had a lot of reclaimed kind of goods. And
Okay.
so for me, it was the combination of how like I was revived as a human through my recovery and my sobriety, and then we were like taking old things and reviving them, and also my idea of fashion sort of needing a revival and about people just expressing themselves through style instead of it being about trying to be like somebody else or wearing something just because it's trendy. I feel like fashion is really an art form.
I would agree with that. And I think you're quite good at it. I mean, your store's incredibly popular.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, you're very good at it.
I enjoy dressing people.
And
Any day I can get somebody in the fitting room and let me hand them, all these pieces and whatever I want and just try stuff on and try new things. That's the best thing ever for me.
the store in Neenah's doing great too, isn't it?
Yeah. Neenah's going really well. We've been there for almost 5 years now, and we're planning on staying there right now. Our lease is coming up in April, but I've already talked to the landlord over there, and we're planning on staying in Neenah. Neenah's been really good to us too. Neenah also has a really cool downtown, and we had the perfect location over there. That's sort of how all of that came about. Because that's actually my second time that I've had a second location.
I would love to hear more about the Neenah location. Is it much different than your first location here in Waupaca? And do you have to pick out different items for people in Neenah based on tastes over there, or is it pretty similar?
The tastes are pretty similar. We do share inventory with the Neenah store. So if something is selling faster one place or the other, then we'll just swap inventory back and forth. We do have some local makers in Neenah that are different than Waupaca. We have a lot of weavings from Katie Boland over in Neenah that we don't so much have in Waupaca. So some of the local art kind of stuff is different, but otherwise it's the same clothing and accessories, the same sort of feel when you walk into the store. So yeah, I'm surprised that the things that sell are very similar between Waupaca and Neenah, being that Neenah is a larger area than Waupaca. We're just trendy in Waupaca. We're a trendy little town.
Yeah, Waupaca's pretty cool, man. I always amazed at that. I mean, for a small city like this,
Mm-hmm.
just the talent here
Right.
is
I
quite
feel like
amazing.
I think it always feels sort of like an artsy Norman Rockwell town.
I've had several people since they redid the town mention that it looks like a Hallmark card,
Right.
especially at Christmas, I suppose. But
Mm.
no, I like our little town. So,
Yeah, I do too. I'm a transplant.
where are you
Um,
from?
I'm originally from New London,
Okay.
so not far. I lived in the Valley area for a while. I lived just north of Milwaukee for a while, and I hitchhiked around the country when I was 19. So I've kind of been all over.
Why did you decide to hitchhike if I can, if, yeah, at 19, that's pretty young as well.
Yeah. I had a friend who had been to a rainbow gathering, and she came home from that and told me all about it. And so I was originally just going to go to this rainbow gathering down in Kentucky for the weekend. And then when I went down there for that weekend, I realized that there was people in this country who were living like freaking gypsies. And I'm like, I want in on some of that, you know. I was a pretty wild 19-year-old, but yeah, so I came back and I got rid of most of my stuff, and I packed my bag, and I headed out for the road and did that for about 6 months when I was
Good for you.
yeah, yeah, it was a good experience. I mean, if I had, kids now who would want to do that, I think it would scare me, but at the time, I can't imagine my poor parents, here's their 19-year-old daughter hitchhiking around the freaking country. But I did try to call them pretty regularly to let them know I was alive.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I mean, I could see doing something like that myself, but I could never, I would have a hard time giving my blessing to my son to do it.
Yeah.
I guess this is the protectiveness and you when you're a parent, I
Right.
suppose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My dad cried when I left. It was pretty emotional, but I think that he understood too, because he had done sort of the same thing when he was in his 20s. Granted, that was like the late 60s, early 70s or whatever that he was doing it. So it might have been a little bit different, but yeah.
So
Yeah.
you decided to explore outside of New London
Hmm.
and the Wisconsin with hitchhiking, and you ended up being back here in Wisconsin. Why did you decide to come back to Wisconsin and not go in another state that looked appealing on when you were hitchhiking?
Well, I originally came back because because I had warrants out for my arrest, and I wanted to take care of all of the legal things that I had um, in Wisconsin so that I could come back and visit without any trouble. So I didn't ever plan on staying in Wisconsin. I was just going to come back and take care of all of my illegal stuff so that it was done. And then I was going to leave again. I was going to hit the road again and just kind of travel around like I was doing before. And then just over a year after I got back, my dad passed away. And when my dad passed away, it just sort of hit me like how important my family really was to me. And I was really grateful that I had that year with him because I lived really close to him and I was very close to my dad. So I was grateful that I had that last year with him that he was on this planet. And that was when I decided that I was going to stay in Wisconsin so that I could be near my family here. I thought I would end up someplace a lot more.
I never, Wisconsin wasn't even on my radar when I was a young man.
No, I love California. So, I mean, California is probably like personality wise, California is probably where I belong. And weather wise, Southern California is where I belong.
I was born in California,
Were you? Which part?
San Francisco area.
Oh, right on. Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I've been back a couple of times since, but quite honestly, I just like Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you, I was a bit of a nomad and just looking for a place, and
Right.
I can't imagine ever leaving the Waupaca area. I mean, I really just like it. It's my home. It's the only place I've ever been able to call my home, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I like Waupaca. I wasn't sure if I would stay. I was married for quite a while, and when I got divorced, I was like, well, I probably don't have to stay in Waupaca now. I'm not really tied to it, but I already had my business here and whatnot, and your brain just goes through all of those possibilities. Like, well, I can do whatever I want now, But I was like, you know what? I like it here. I'm glad to be here, and I don't have any immediate plans to leave Waupaca, so that's probably where I'm gonna die. I'd be perfectly happy to die in my big old house.
You don't happen to live in the Psycho house, do you?
No,
That's not
I know
yours?
which one
Okay.
you're talking about though.
Yeah, for those people out there who don't know what we're talking about, it was the movie Psycho. The house in Psycho was fashioned after one of the houses in downtown Waupaca. At least I've been told.
Yeah, I heard that one's haunted.
I hear that about every building and everything else around here, but I haven't had any encounters. So
Yeah, I haven't had any encounters in my house either. I don't think I could live here if that was happening.
yeah, I mean, a lot of the buildings in town I've heard that about, and I've had people refuse to go in the basements of some of my buildings and stuff. But it's okay, and even if it is haunted, I mean, come on, you're telling me that, not every ghost is going to be evil. Some of them are just there hanging out. So
Right, right. I mean, I think you have the upper hand if you're alive and all.
yeah, too. So, but no, I was curious. So yeah, we were talking about this at the historical society the other day. We're talking about the Psycho house. Apparently, the guy that wrote the book was from Waupaca, is the impression I had.
Yeah, I had an old friend from New London. That was his uncle who wrote Psycho.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the film festival and they have a Psycho Fest, and that's all part of Waupaca Arts.
Oh, right on.
what do they do at Psycho Fest? They have a parade or something?
I don't think they have a parade, but they show Psycho in the probably Gerald Opera House, and then there's also horror movies that are independent films for the most part.
Waupaca's pretty cool. I mean, I like the Gerald Opera House too.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't been to one of the film events. I think the only events I've been to there are the ones that involve ballroom dancing. So I haven't
You
gone
still
to
do
one of
that?
their festivals. What's that?
You still do that? Ballroom
Yeah,
dance?
yeah, I still do that. I still do that. The place that I liked dancing at just closed recently, so I'm gonna have to branch out. There's a ballroom up in Green Bay that I like to go to here and there, and I take lessons there too. Um, so yeah, and there's dance studios around Appleton who have dances, so I'll be checking that out.
Surprised they don't have something like that here. I mean, there's some great ballrooms above some of those buildings.
Yeah, I've been dreaming about dancing at the Danes Hall for a long time, especially since they restored that ballroom floor up there.
Oh, it is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is beautiful. I did talk to somebody there about having dance lessons, and I was kind of looking for an instructor to come here to teach because I just don't want to. I don't want to teach dance lessons anymore. Um, so yeah, I think it'd be a cool thing for downtown Waupaca to have ballroom dance lessons at the Danes Hall. And then selfishly, I also want to be able to dance at the dance hall. So
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what a psycho parade looks like if we had one.
yeah, is there like knives and what was that scene with like the knife and the person in the shower or whatever?
Well, if anything, Waupaca should do it
Yeah, you're right. They should.
because, well, they already do quite a bit. Like they do a pretty good amount around October for Psycho Fest. Then the the Bates Motel,
Hmm.
at least the book version, I believe the motel is inspired by a now torn down motel in Waupaca, and then the house in the book was inspired by a house in Waupaca, and then the movie was inspired by houses. I think both the one in Waupaca and maybe some in Waupaca as well, because Alfred Hitchcock sent people to the area to get designs for the house, and then the house that was used in the film is in California,
Mm.
but it's inspired by ones in the area.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
I don't know. You hear so many different things, and some of it just gets into legend and things, so it gets exaggerated. You just don't know what's what sometimes.
I'm gonna have to watch it again now. I haven't seen it for 30 years.
And we're leaving out the important piece in all this is Plainfield and Ed Gein.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. See, Wisconsin.
Well, We have
was
like a
not
Geener
supposed
parade or
to go.
something.
Yeah. Like I know Plainfield isn't proud of it, of
No, they're
course,
not at all.
but it is still a huge part of central Wisconsin history. Like I'm not saying that Plainfield should, you know,
Have an Ed Gein festival.
yeah, I'm not saying that, but like it's still pretty monumental thing that happened in the area, media frenzy and inspired
Right.
the Waupaca offer. So that is definitely an important part.
It's inspired more than him. I mean,
Yeah.
look at all the characters that have been in movies. Some of these the now classics were inspired by some of the
Mhm.
interviews with Ed Gein. I'm not sure 100%, but I kind of thought that wasn't Hannibal Lecter inspired by that.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I would have to relook. I thought I read that somewhere, but wow, that's that was all nuts. I guess Plainfield was just crazy back then too. That's nobody had even ever heard of anything like that before that happened.
Yeah, so Ed Gein influenced Norman Bates in Psycho, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs,
That's
Garland
what it was.
Green and Con Air, and the character Dr. Oliver Fredson in American Horror Story Asylum.
Wow.
He's very influential, wasn't he?
It was.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
anyway, maybe we should talk about the revival now instead of Ed
Yeah, I'm
Gein.
sorry we got off
Uh,
topic. That's
Serious
why I get edited. That's
story.
why he edits me out so much, Brooke.
I didn't know we were going to talk about cannibals today.
Well, sometimes I like to see where things go.
Right?
So
I'm not surprised.
maybe that's why people somehow still listen to this.
Right? You never know what's going to come up.
oh, that's funny. You're pretty content where the revival stands now then? I mean, are you talking about are you thinking about any more expansion at all, or are you pretty content with the two locations?
Um, I do have ideas for third and fourth locations. I'm not there yet. Um, I'm more so working on expanding my online store right now, and I've been trying to get the right people in place. I have two full-time people now, and it's amazing to have two full-time employees. They both work at both locations, and the one of them does the merchandising, the window displays, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And then the other one does takes care of the website, which is not my forte anyway. And she does all of the social media material. Emily, you'll see her in all of the launch videos. So she's been doing all the photography. Um, we're transitioning our website. I'm pretty excited about the online store right now. So we're transferring our website from the vendor pictures that I was using to all pictures of Emily or me. So like this morning, I was just uploading some more pictures of outfits that I put together. And on the website, you'll be able to have inspiration the same way that you would in the store. So we're trying to make the online experience very much like the in-store experience, where let's see, let's say you see something that you like, and then you're wondering what would go with that. At the store, we would hand you things and be like, oh, you could wear it with this, 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 or this, and then here's how you can accessorize it. And so on the online store, we have pictures of outfits that we've put together, and then we have links in the product description so you can actually shop the entire outfit that's pictured and not just that product. And yeah, so that's my latest thing that I'm super excited about. And I learned about search engine optimization this last year, and that's made a really huge difference with our online store. So yeah, we really get orders from all over now. I'm especially honored when I get orders from California. We get quite a few from there. But
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
we had a dress that I got in that was kind of like on the verge of like what I could really carry here. And I think we sold, I had 2 packs of them, so I had 12 of them, and I think I sold 11 of them online and 1 of them in the stores. But it was crazy, just that it was so odd that that was the dress that was selling online.
When you're doing your stuff online, I mean, how do you deal with inventory?
I use Shopify, so all of my online inventory and the inventory in the stores is integrated. So when I sell something in the store, it comes out of the inventory on the online store. And we have the inventory divided between the 2 locations. So the inventory is actually assigned to Waupaca or to Neenah. And then it's set to pull from it's defaulted from the Waupaca store. And then if it does, we don't have the order in Waupaca, then it'll tell us if it's coming from the Neenah store. So yeah, there's been a lot of structural things that I've been working on in my business the last couple of years, and that was one of them. That was like my big win this January. It's like we finally got the inventory split, so it's organized, and got the physical inventory done.
Are you able to keep enough in stock or on hand or have easy access to it to
Yeah.
fill the orders? Okay.
Yeah, it's been pretty good so far. I'm hoping my next step, I'm hoping to need a warehouse in the next year or so for the online
Oh,
store.
wow.
Mhm.
A fully functioning one with packaging and everything?
Yeah, to one
Shipping.
place for all of the inventory to come in, and then to be able to have just like a separate, I mean, carry the same things online as we do in the stores, but to be able to have that inventory all in one spot, to be able to just pull from there, and then to be able to stock both the stores from that location too. So if anybody knows of a warehouse for rent real cheap, let a girl know.
You're wanting a warehouse that's your own, that's not like someone else is running it for multiple people.
Well, I would really just need a space. I mean, there could be, and I would want to run it. I'm too much of a control freak to let somebody else run all of that.
Yeah, I understand.
Or, or, when it gets to that point, I'll probably have like a person who is just like shipping and receiving, but I wouldn't outsource it, I guess. Is that what you're asking? Is I would outsource it?
Yeah, I know like on Shark Tank, for example, if they get big and if they have a big enough product, they go to someone else in a different part of the country or different country altogether to help with getting their product
Oh,
to other places. I don't completely understand the differences, so
there probably is a little bit of difference between producing a product um, and being a retailer, because I'm buying things that most of the things that I carry change every single season. So it's not like it's just one product. I'm carrying, different tops and pants and all different things, and we launch new products every single week. So it's this constant turnover of inventory. And I'm in a spot now where because I do the launches, I'm holding inventory so that I can launch small, thoughtful collections of goods too. So the back room at my Waupaca store right now is kind of like my little warehouse, and we have shelves stacked with inventory with like a little picture of what it is on the end of the stack, and we kind of like we walk around and dream about what we're going to launch next.
everyone listening, make sure to check out the revivalboutique.com. That is where to go to get everything you could possibly desire from the Revival.
Yes. And check us out on Instagram. Our Emily, who does our social media, is extremely entertaining. You are definitely going to want to go and watch the stories on Thursday and Friday, because she does little commentaries about the new releases, and she's hilarious.
Now you do like, I don't know what the technical name is, And you work with some of the other boutiques around here to do fashion shows, don't you?
Yeah, I think that we're due for a fashion show, actually. So we haven't done one for a couple of years, but yeah, I do. I'm friends with a lot of other boutique owners, and I've had this dream for a while now about having like a regional fashion show. So most of the shows that I've done in the past have all been just the Waupaca stores, but I want to have a whole fashion festival.
You know, the Fox Cities, man. I think
Yeah, with Waupaca and like the surrounding areas, and then it would like move every year.
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
I maybe shouldn't have brought it up. Somebody's gonna want to steal
Mm.
it.
Would you want to get more to Fox Cities area involved, and Waupaca be the most west of those of that area? Because we're technically like the most west point almost of northeast Wisconsin. And then when you get into Point, in Stevens Point, it's central Wisconsin. So
Right.
for the idea, are you looking at northeast and central, or?
Oh, you can't snub
Um,
Point and Plover, man.
right. Yeah, I mean, I am friends with somebody over there who had a boutique, but she closed recently. So I guess I don't know anybody super personally. There's one lady who does shop at my Waupaca store who owns a shop over there, but we're not like on that level where I like have her phone number and we chat, you know. So and I mean, in my mind, it probably would have been the shop that I used to know in Stevens Point. I have a friend down in Ripon who has a shop, American Alchemy, which is also a really neat store. We did some online events together during COVID. There's another shop down in Berlin. There's um, a shop in Waupun. So kind of like this whole little area. There's a lot of there's shops out in Oshkosh. So like this area, and then south of us and down to like Oshkosh area and then the valley. So kind of this whole surrounding radius.
We talked a lot about social media earlier, and I think in Waupaca and in the Fox cities that the Revival is one of the best businesses that uses social media correctly, the right way, in a way that you can get more people from outside of the area to your online store. What do you suggest to other businesses that want to do something similar to you guys? Because you guys have a very strong social media presence.
I think that having a strong social media presence is about being genuine and being consistent. And I mean, also, there is a little bit of, photography kind of hacks that people can use. And there are ways to sort of keep your page cohesive so that it's nice to look at. And yeah, I think social media is really fun. It's not limited to one area. It's people from all over the country and all over the world. And I feel like social media on a personal level is kind of all what you make it.
I think, well, social media is quite a time commitment, definitely to get right, especially like what you said with the consistency, but also you have to be really creative as well. Do you ever struggle to know, oh, what am I going to post? Or are you getting so much new inventory in that it's running itself?
Well, I do have somebody that handles the social media now, which has been really nice. But when I was the one handling all of it, I mean, there are times where you're just like, I don't even know what else do you say about a top, like you sort of run out of ways to describe things, and when you're forced to be, and I am generally a pretty creative person, but when you're having to be creative all the time, it's you start to feel like you run out of ideas. But I took a class, actually it was in 2020. I started taking the class just before the shutdown happened. It was through Retail Initiative, the mastermind class. And so I learned a lot about how to run online stores and how to attack social media through that. So I don't know why I waited so long to take classes that were directly related to my industry, but taking classes has been really helpful to me to learn that stuff because I am creative, but I'm not a techie sort of person. That's so that, online stores and social media, that stuff doesn't come naturally to me at all.
Do you suggest that local business owners, especially those that didn't grow up with social media, should take a course like you did?
I found a course really helpful. I find a lot of different podcasts are super helpful too. I mean, if there were other business people listening and wanted some tips or tricks or whatever, people can always reach out to me too. I'm happy to share whatever limited knowledge I have.
That's what I've found in this town as well, is people are willing to share their knowledge.
Yeah,
And people have there's a whole array of different knowledges here.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to learn how to make a reel, just let me know. I'll come down and teach you.
Yeah, I mean, I find that quite refreshing. When I first started out, well, we had Bill Zimmerman on the show recently, and
Mhm.
I actually he was actually kind enough to spend a little time with me to just kind of to help me, so what I'm trying to say is in business, there's a lot of hidden potholes you can't see.
Right,
And if you can get some advice or talk to someone who's been through it, the fewer you hit, the better, because you're gonna hit one. I mean, I'm in
right,
a I'm in a venture right now where I'm dealing with where I fully expected to hit hidden stuff because I simply don't know everything.
right, right.
I guess if I had any advice for anybody wanting to do their own thing, if you talk to people that have done it,
Right, right.
they will share with you. They'll be happy to teach you as well.
What's the one piece of advice that you would give someone that wants to open a boutique?
I would tell them to be true to themselves on what they like and not worry so much about what other people are doing or what other people might like. I think if you stay true to yourself,
Yeah.
then you're going to have a niche no matter what.
Well, they stay true to themselves. I mean, then I think the motivation for doing it to begin with would stay fresh with them.
Right, right.
So,
And it's something that you believe in then.
exactly. I've heard people have different ideas through my time here, and some ideas are sound, some not so sound, but
Right.
you can kind of tell if there's any real passion when someone tells you about something.
Hmm.
If you're not into it, you shouldn't, if you're not into it fully,
Right,
you shouldn't be getting into it at all. So,
right. I would say if somebody wants to get into retail, then they better be ready to work a
yeah.
lot, especially in the beginning.
Isn't it kind of nice? Yeah, in the beginning, the first few years,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah.
It's a long process, but yeah, I mean, we're kind of on the same trajectory because I mean, now I'm to the point where I've got people that, handle a certain amount of the buying and handle all the stuff I used to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's kind of nice not to have to really worry about that now.
It is nice to be able to hand things to people. It's hard to hand things to people at first, though, because I did everything for so many years. I mean, aside from having people, I had people that would do a post here and there and, sell clothes at the store and help with like the day-to-day kind of stuff. But I mean, generally speaking, for the first, you know, 10 years that I was open, I did pretty much everything,
Yeah.
all all the receiving, all the buying, all of the merchandising, all of the social media, just everything. And so it's nice to be able to hand those two things off to those girls. And Yeah, it's allowed me to really hone in on the buying, because that's what I really love to do. I love the buying. I love sorting through everything and putting collections together, and
Yeah, that's the part I miss the most, I think.
the
Uh,
buying.
that was, and Joe's had a taste of that. He went to the shows with us last year.
Yeah.
And what was your take on it, Joe? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. We went to the Minneapolis Mart. It's a wholesale show. We were looking for Northern Home specifically. So more rustic items,
Mhm.
uh, outdoorsy, and we found a men's line that is really great
Oh, cool.
because it's so hard to find things for men,
It is.
especially in Waupaca, like belts, socks that are nice.
Mhm.
They're not easy to find here. And tools, the tools have done really well for us. There's
Mhm.
like 12-in-1 type tools
Yeah,
that's part of that too. And
yeah, those are good
Yeah.
gifts too.
Yeah, but you found it, so yeah, I mean, it was a good find.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's just just seeing stuff that you would want
Hmm.
or you think would be good for other people you know.
Right.
I found myself, though, I have to admit, again, after doing all that stuff for so long, I do believe I got a bit burned out.
Oh, yeah, I've gone through periods of feeling burnt out.
That's why I'm moving on to this, some other new things. Yeah, I would say it was a lot, like you said, a lot of work, but a
Hmm.
lot of fun. But yeah, it kind of made me tired after a while.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I have to take a step back once in a while. I still have that, I kind of have that addict all or nothing kind of mentality, where I'll just like, I can turn into a workaholic too. So I just like run full speed for weeks at a time. I'm like, oh, look at all this stuff that I'm getting done. And then all of a sudden I hit a wall. I'm like, oh, shit, I need to go lay on my couch for a day.
No, no. Well, that's like this week. I mean, I think the latest I've slept in was like 5:15.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, but the same token, it's amazing what you do when you do things like that, how much you can get done before 10 a.m. But,
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I like to get up early in the morning too.
but like last night, I just, 9 o'clock rolled around and I was done. It's
Hmm.
like I said, I had to lay down.
Yeah.
But
Well,
no, the other thing we're fortunate with, me and my wife Michelle, is uh, our staff. Some of them been with us since the beginning,
Mhm.
and I mean they're phenomenal.
Yeah, they make all the difference in the world.
Oh, we've been so fortunate. We truly have.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
sounds like you've got pretty darn good staff too.
yeah. I do have a really good crew right now. I did have two ladies that were with me for a really long time, and then they both moved on for different reasons. But they left like right around the same time in 2021. So in 2000, the summer of 2021, it was me and summer help at both locations.
Ooh, that must have been fun.
Was I don't really feel like I had much of a summer that year. Um,
No, I would think you'd be on the move a lot. Wow.
yeah, yeah. So that's how after a few months of that, I ended up hiring my friend Jody in September. That's when I hired my first full timer, and after I hired her, my sales actually went up. I'm like, oh, well, look at this. There's a direct connection between, having like and not to say that I didn't have good employees before, but it was, uh, somebody that I was actually delegating things to so that I could do my job better too. It made a big difference in my business. So a few months or 6 to 8 months after that, I hired my second full timer.
Wow. Well, cool.
Yeah.
well, thank you, Brooke, for being on PodPaca today. Make sure to check out the revivalboutique.com and to follow the Revival on Facebook and Instagram and on TikTok. You're you're on TikTok for sure, right?
We're working on that. We're trying to get our account back right now.
Okay. Well, still follow them and make sure to check out both of the revival locations if you are in central northeast Wisconsin. The Waupaca location's on 111 West Fulton Street, and the Neenah location is on 123 West Wisconsin Avenue in Neenah. So thank you, Brooke, for being on, and everyone listening, hope you have a great day.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
Yeah, thanks, Brooke. It was nice talking with you.
Yeah, nice chatting with you guys too.